1950s movies that still beat modern CGI to real Spitfires filmed in the air. Some of these scenes are so dangerous they'd never get made today. Which one is actually the greatest? Let's find out. Not every great aerial sequence is about dogfights. Sometimes it's all about those massive air-to-ground attack runs. The Bridges is probably the best example ever filmed. Whole movie builds to this giant set piece. A squadron of Navy Panthers sent in to bomb a series of bridges in Korea. Those are basically impossible to hit because of how heavily they're defended. By the third act, everyone in the movie knows this mission is probably suicide, and you as the viewer are sitting there thinking, okay, this better be worth it. Except it's 1954, so how good can the effects actually be? Then the attack starts. 12 Grumman Panthers coming in hot, another squadron running interference. And they're shooting this mostly from inside the cockpit, first-person view, with these massive practical explosions going off around the planes right there. It's like you can feel the heat coming off the screen. Years later, people figured out that most of what you're watching isn't even real planes. They built a 200-foot set with miniature Panthers, pulled them on wires, and filmed it all from a helicopter. And nobody could tell. The model work blended so seamlessly with the real aerial footage that the Academy gave them an Oscar for it. Memphis Belle and Battle of Britain both did the same thing, fighters intercepting bombers, but from opposite perspectives. Memphis Belle puts you inside the bomber getting torn apart, watching the crew scramble to survive. Battle of Britain puts you in the Spitfires doing the tearing. The filmmakers didn't use replicas for this movie. They went out and found actual Spitfires, restored them, got them airworthy, and shot the whole thing with real aircraft. The final battle has no dialogue. There's no radio chatter, no sound effects, nothing but a classical score and planes screaming through the air. And somehow that decision makes it work better than if they'd tried to explain what was happening. You watch these Spitfires dance around each other, every pilot trying to line up a shot while not getting shot themselves, and every plane feels like it's one hit away from going down. Pearl Harbor from 2001 has dogfights, but they're kind of ridiculous. Midway has decent plane versus ship combat, but if you want to see the attack on Pearl Harbor done right, there's only one movie. This was an American-Japanese co-production where each side of the story was filmed by directors from that country. The Japanese sequences were directed by Japanese filmmakers, American sequences by American filmmakers. That even included Akira Kurosawa at the start, though he ended up leaving the project pretty quick. The amount of work that went into this film is insane. They restored actual period aircraft. The visual effects, and this is 1970, were years ahead of everything else being made. The model work was so accurate that military historians used the film for reference. When the dogfights finally start, when the Americans get a few planes up and the battle spills into the skies over Hawaii, it's all that meticulous craft paying off. Planes exploding, diving through clouds, the chaos of trying to fight back during a surprise attack. Everything feels real because so much of it was real. The movie's been the gold standard for Pacific Theater aerial combat for over 50 years. That's not changing anytime soon. All right, let's just say it. You can't talk movie dogfights without bringing up Top Gun. Yes, it's the obvious pick, but there's a reason for that. Tony Scott directs a movie about fighter pilots that's so technically inaccurate it should have been laughed out of theaters. Instead, it became one of the most iconic action films ever made and the Navy's best recruiting tool. Ask any fighter pilot what Top Gun gets wrong and they'll talk for an hour. But the final dogfight sequence is what made the movie iconic. Maverick and his squad going up against enemy fighters, everything's happening way faster and closer than real combat ever would. Pilots are yanking their oxygen masks off mid-flight. The maneuvers don't make tactical sense. Half the switches they're flipping don't control what they claim they control. But none of that killed the movie. It made $357 million in 1986 and applications to naval aviation programs jumped by 500%. The film understood something more important than accuracy. It understood spectacle. Every shot was designed to make you feel like being a fighter pilot was the coolest thing a human being could possibly do. And it worked. People still quote this movie 40 years later. Here's what animation can do that live action can't. Put a Tomcat, a Phantom, a Skyhawk, an Israeli fighter plane, and 2 Hornets in the same squadron. That collection of aircraft doesn't exist in reality. Different countries, different time periods, incompatible systems. But Area 88 isn't reality. It's a fictional mercenary airbase in the Middle East where the only rule is fly or die. The opening dogfight lasts 7 minutes. Pre-dawn launch, pilots heading into combat, and then all hell breaks loose. What's great here is that despite being a cartoon about an impossible scenario, Area 88 gets modern air combat more right than most live-action films. Most dogfight movies jump straight to planes circling each other with guns blazing. Area 88 starts the way real fighter engagements actually start, with missiles at long range. You see pilots reacting to radar warnings, maneuvering to break missile locks, burning through countermeasures. Only after that phase do they close to gun range. The animation is gorgeous, the action doesn't stop, and honestly, it's just as good as anything live action. Columbia Pictures apparently looked at their 1983 helicopter budget and decided to see how much carnage they could film before someone stopped them. The result is Blue Thunder's final sequence, one of the most dangerous-looking aerial sequences ever shot. It starts with a chase through the Los Angeles River. Not above it, through it. Helicopters flying 3 feet off the ground through a concrete channel with explosions detonating around them. Then it somehow escalates further with F-16s getting involved, which makes no sense but looks incredible. The finale is an armed helicopter fight in downtown LA with a Gatling gun mounted on one of them, weaving between skyscrapers. The footage is genuinely wild here. Helicopters flying through live fire, banking around buildings, pulling maneuvers that look like they should have killed everyone on set. Firebirds tried to do the Top Gun thing with helicopters. Airwolf had crazy stunts on TV. Apocalypse Now has that legendary Ride of the Valkyries sequence. But for pure helicopter versus helicopter combat shot with real aircraft doing real stunts, nothing touches Blue Thunder. It's the kind of sequence that couldn't get made today. It's just too expensive, too dangerous, and too liability heavy. But in 1983, someone signed off on it, and the result is mandatory viewing.